Quarterback took the field for LSU, facing the challenge of highly rated Texas A&M and a national television audience. 193 yards and a pair of touchdowns later, Tom Hodson had embarked on a career that includes 2 All-SEC honors, a conference title, the most touchdown passes in LSU history, and a record of 18-2-1 as a starter. This year, despite the second toughest schedule in the country, Hodson and the Tigers again expect nothing less than a shot at the SEC championship.
Volunteers and Tommy Hodson at LSU.
Both going to be all-time passing leaders at their respective schools, and both very disciplined players, both very unselfish. Francis probably has the stronger arm. Hodson is probably not as methodical as Francis is, though he shoots from the hip a little bit better, but they're both great leaders.
And Tennessee is off to an 0-2 start. It's been a long time since they've gone 0-2, losing to Georgia and then being upset by Duke. And they're trying to get well against a team that's tough to get well against, 8th-ranked LSU.
Yes, they've had problems in the offensive line due to graduation and injury. Defensively, they're struggling with personnel, and it's going to be, again, tough today. Keith DeLong, their leader on defense, will not start. He's got a back problem. And Tennessee's looking at a long season if they can't come up with a victory here against LSU.
And 3 specifics about this game today. First of all, LSU has never won a game since 1925 in Knoxville, ever won here. It's raining, and it's an artificial surface, a surface LSU hasn't had a chance to practice on.
Well, snow would help probably a little bit more. Anything to equalize it for Tennessee is going to help Tennessee. Any inclement weather is going to probably inhibit LSU's ability to be productive as they'd like to be.
And if the kicking game comes into play today in a significant way, LSU has an edge there. They have good punters, very good kicker who holds a lot of LSU records. Tennessee rebuilding what is traditionally a strong kicking game. That could be an edge to LSU. We'll be back here in just a moment with the lineups and the kickoff from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville.
94 versus Texas A&M. 13 straight wins on the road, dating back to '84 since they lost. However, LSU also knows they have never won a game on Shields-Watkins Field at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. This is a very good LSU Tiger football team, an excellent team from last year, returning a lot of their veteran players for the 1988 campaign. Their head coach is Mike Archer. In his second year as head coach of the Tigers, he's only 35 years old, and his career mark after last year, 11-1-1. The 10-1-1 record in '87 was the best ever by a first-year coach in LSU history. Now at Neyland Stadium, there are going to be about 90,000 here to watch the band form the traditional T, awaiting the arrival of the Volunteers on the field. Let's watch and listen. The Volunteers have never lost to LSU here. Have a 15-2-3 record overall against the Tigers, but Tennessee lost the opener at Georgia. Were upset, embarrassed in their view by Duke at Neyland Stadium last week, and has gone 0-2. So the Volunteers have their back against the wall, and nobody knows it better than Johnny Majors. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports.
By the U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Tennessee won the toss, elected to defer their choice till the second half. It's going to be lightly raining here today at 66 degrees. Actually a good day for football if you have an umbrella, which, by the way, aren't allowed at Neyland Stadium. So you either have a raincoat or you're wet today. The deep backs for LSU on the left. Number 2, Slip Watkins, great speed. And on the right, a freshman, 5'9", Vincent Fuller, the brother of the fullback for LSU. The man who will be doing the kicking off for Tennessee, number 10. He is a redshirt freshman from Marietta, Georgia, Chip McCallum. Tennessee backs against the wall, 0-2. LSU defeated A&M. Then they had an off week. Egloff bounced it. Now it's picked up by Fuller. He hits the outside seam. Out of bounds at the 45-yard line, and LSU off to a great start. A 33-yard return by the freshman, Vincent Fuller. So LSU will be led by their Heisman Trophy candidate, Tommy Hodson. Tommy Hodson, the junior from Matthews, Against Louisiana, only 33% in the Texas A&M opener. Fuller is the tailback. Egloff starts at fullback. He'll trade time with Victor Jones. Moss and Lee, the wide receivers. Ronnie Halliburton, the tight end. They're replacing a good core of receivers from last year. And the offensive line, Ralph Norwood on the left side, big and strong, and an offensive line that's moved around and replaced some graduating players, but all of these guys are also veterans. So LSU has a strong veteran team. Biggest question mark has to be the inexperienced receivers. Penalty marker against LSU on the opening play, 1st and 10. Our officials today, the man in the white hat is Dick Burleson.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense.
Here's that Tennessee defense, the much maligned defense, we might add. Starting on the front line, Martin Williams moves up to the middle guard, and Marion Hobby, who's the best player there. Now, we understood Keith DeLong would not start at linebacker, but now we do see him on the field, number 33. He is playing with a sore back. He is the defensive leader. We'll meet the rest of the Volunteer defense in a moment. 1st and 15. Pitch to the tailback. It's Eddie Fuller. He gets 4 and not much more. The rest of the Tennessee defense now, the linebacking core has been moving around trying to find something. Ernest Fields will play a lot, but we have learned now that Keith DeLong with a sore back is starting there. Also, a pure freshman, Shazon Bradley, will start on the inside. Preston Warren has 2 interceptions in 2 games. He's become the big play guy in the secondary for the Volunteers. Tennessee defense is allowing 438 yards per game in 2 games. 2nd down, 10, LSU. Fuller in motion. Hudson's first pass of the day. Fuller's wide open. 1st down. To the 37-yard line of Tennessee, hit by Kelly Days.
And Bob, this is a formation that you'll see throughout the afternoon. This time they offset the running back, bring him in motion to the strong side. Hodson reads it, just a zone, dumps it off to the flare control in the flat. He makes the catch, and here has been one of Tennessee's problems. As Jeremiah Lincoln comes up, misses the tackle against Georgia. Georgia gained over 100 yards after missed tackle. So Tennessee's got to make sure there.
18-yard gain on the pass play. 1st and 10 from the Volunteer, 37. Hand off to Victor Jones, the fullback, who had lined up deep that time, and he gets to the 31-yard line. He's hit by Keith DeLong. DeLong, we're talking about that sore back, Tim. How sore is it?
Bob, he hasn't practiced all week this week and had limited practices in weeks before. It's a problem that's been with him throughout his career that he's kind of fought off, but he was hit on it last week, and it is very stiff and really limits the mobility of an outstanding linebacker.
2nd down, 4, LSU, Tennessee 31-yard line. Opening drive of the ball game from Knoxville. Eddie Fuller tries the left side behind Norwood. To the 25, 1st down, LSU.
LSU lost some players in their offensive line last year. Andel Sack, as Mike Archer looks on, is with the Lions. Let's see, Albergamo is in medical school now, but a couple of great performers. But as you mentioned, all of their players up front, Rodrigue, Norwood, Kuti, Kubiks, and Hagnett have experience, at least 7 games worth of experience, and they are healthy, feeling good, as opposed to Tennessee's offensive line that's really banged up.
1st down, 10, just outside the 25. They spotted at the 26-yard line. Tailback, Eddie Fuller gets about 2. Marion Hobby. He's the junior from Irondale, Alabama, and the strength of a suspect Tennessee defensive front. It'll be Hobby, Martin Williams, and Charles McCray. We'll also be seeing David Johnson, Mark Moore, Kerry Bailey playing in there for Tennessee.
And the problem with Tennessee up front has been size. David Johnson was a walk-on as an outside linebacker that he's forced into service as a defensive end. Charles McCray has the size, but not very mobile.
2nd down, 7, LSU. Ball at the 24 of Tennessee. Check off by Hudson. Plenty of time. Now he gets pressure. It is complete to Alvin Lee and knocked out of bounds at the 19-yard line, short of the 1st down. Cedric Klein covering.
Let's watch it up front. Let's watch him work up front. You see Hobby, number 90. Williams working against a little hold there by Hubix. Keep your hands in, Jimmy.
Big defensive stand for the Volunteers here. It's at their own 19. We'll call it 3rd down, and let's say 3.
And a good adjustment. A good adjustment by Alvin Lee. That's what Hodgson is used to from his receivers.
Fuller in motion. Hodgson to throw. Wide open is Moss to the 4. Cedric Klein with the tackle, but Moss was lonesome out there.
When you're playing LSU, you want to be ultra concerned about the slot men, both on the strong and weak side. This time, no one really touched Tony Moss. Wide open, Hodgson finds him, hits him with the football. Tennessee has got to be concerned about Tony Moss. He's going to run that option to the inside and outside. Hodgson will look for him all afternoon.
3 catches versus Texas A&M for Tony Moss. Double tight ends, 1st and goal. LSU. Halliburton in motion. And a fumble. Tennessee ball. It was number 25, Jeremy Lincoln, who came up with the ball.
Good job here by the defensive front for Tennessee. Watch him submarine. Watch him get down underneath, forcing the back to leap into the air. And the ball just slips away from Victor Jones. Jeremy Lincoln, the cornerback from the right side, hustling to try to get there to help on the play, comes up with a big play.
Tennessee has it now at their own 1-foot line. Full house backfield. They give it to fullback John Rollins. Drives to the 5. Well, LSU started that drive at the 45, slipped back to the 40, then got it to the 1 before the fumble. Let's meet the Tennessee offensive football team. 3-year starter, all-time yardage leader Jeff Francis starts at quarterback. He's a good one, completing 61% of his passes so far this year, 611 yards, 2 TDs, and has thrown 3 interceptions. 2nd down, 6 from the 5. It's Rollins again, driving to about the 6.5. When Jeff Francis needs to go to backfield, John Rollins will run it in these kind of short yardage situations. 85 because he's a former tight end. Reggie Cobb, the great Tennessee running back, one of the best freshmen in SEC history. Terrence Cleveland, Thomas Woods are the split ends. They're good receivers, and Nate Middlebrooks the tight end. Ray Robinson will have his hands full today with 62 LSU nose guard Darrell Phillips. 3rd down, 5, Tennessee. Francis, short drop to throw. Just had to get rid of it. Actually threw it from out of bounds to out of bounds. Tennessee can't convert. Wanted to throw it to Alvin Harper. Good pressure from LSU. And now Tennessee is going to punt from their own end zone. The punter is a junior from Apopka, Florida, Ken Elmore. And this might be interesting, Tim.
Mike Archer spends a lot of time on special teams. He and Joe Wessel run that for LSU, and they like to put pressure on the punter. Don't be surprised to see LSU coming strong after this punt.
Elmore gets it away, and it's a good one. Fair catch by Greg Jackson back out at the 48-yard line of Tennessee. So the Volunteers dodge a bullet on the Victor Jones fumble. Can't get the 1st down. Turn it back over to the Tigers with 10:01 remaining in the 1st quarter. On the 48-yard line of Tennessee. Eddie Fuller. Penalty markers down. Jazon Bradley, the true freshman from Athens, Tennessee, very highly recruited player. He's only 18 years old, but he's 6'2", 238 pounds, and a load. There's the call against the Tigers holding.
Bob, in reviewing the film, the Tennessee defense has had real problems in the first 2 games. I mean, that's no secret. And the toughest job the LSU coaches would have this week, getting their players ready for Tennessee.
10-yard penalty against the offense. Repeat 1st down.
Is that Tennessee's defense has just looked poor. There's been some good effort, but it just does not look, it looks porous. And you're trying to convince these kids that Tennessee's backs up against the wall. They're going to be a better team that they've seen on film, but it's got to affect your concentration a little bit.
So it's 1st down and 18 for LSU following the holding penalty. Now it's back to the 43-yard line of the Tigers. That's Egloff in motion, the fullback. Good protection. No, it broke down, but Hodson got it away anyway. Broken tackle, Alvin Lee to the 48-yard line, the original line of scrimmage. Tony Nelson made the stop. Hodson stood there all alone. All of a sudden, an orange jersey came pouring in on him. Quick release got rid of it. It was Tracy Hayworth in his face. 88.
And Bob, they're doubling Alvin Lee on that particular pass pattern, and a beautiful job underneath by Preston Warrens. He had deep help. It wasn't there right away, but Alvin Lee worked hard to get back to the football. Hodson throws the ball. What you're seeing is Hodson developing a lot more confidence in these wide receivers.
There's Alvin Lee replacing Wendell Davis. Raji McGee, some good ones who left. Egloff, big hole in the middle. It closes quickly to the 44-yard line of Tennessee, tackled by Keith DeLong.
Let's watch Keith DeLong here, the leading Tennessee Vol tackler last year. Sets up, begins his drop, reacts to the draw. Just a solid all-around football player, plays to the top of his potential, and he is playing this afternoon with an injured back that in a normal situation he would not play. Ernest Fields would be in there, but he knows how important this is to his team's season.
Tennessee's last in the league in stopping third down conversions. It's 3rd and 6 for LSU. And it looked like DeLong was trying to call timeout. He may have got a timeout called before the snap. I think that's it. He did. DeLong called the timeout, and Tennessee stopped it. DeLong, no doubt, had great fears that Hodson was going to pick him apart. We'll be right back to Neyland Stadium. In Tennessee football history, LSU has scored to close to within a point and goes for the win as Billy Cannon gets the call for the two-point conversion. But the future Heisman winner is stopped short by Wayne Grubb, Charlie Severance, and the late Bill Majors. The 14-13 final was LSU's only regular season defeat of 59, and a painting of that famous play hangs today in Bill's brother's office, and that's head coach Johnny Majors. 3rd and 6. See if Tennessee's timeout helps them defensively. Hodson, Tennessee drops into coverage. It is complete, short of the first down. Penalty marker down in the defensive backfield. 25 Lincoln covering number 6 Tony Moss. Preliminary indication, Tennessee penalty. They call it on 25 Lincoln, Tim. See if you can spot it as we look at that again.
Well, last year Tennessee had Peppers and McDaniel playing cornerback for them, 2 experienced veterans, and this year they've been replaced with Lincoln, Preston Warrens, but both of them look good to me. I think what they called Jeremy Lincoln was you saw Alvin Lee standing behind him, and I think he hooked him as he went by.
Against the defense, 10 yards and an automatic first down.
Right, that's the difference in pass interference. It gives him a first down anyway. Not the man who caught the ball or was going for it, but he was holding up the receiver. Good call, Tim. It moves it to the 35.
There's Mike Archer. He's done a fantastic job at LSU. First-year coach coming on, 10-1-1. Got his team ready to play every week. And really, I don't think anybody's really recognized the job that he did there, overcoming the situations that he had to overcome in any first-year responsibility.
Scoreless game, 7:43 to go, first quarter from Neyland Stadium. Bob Neal, Tim Foley with you. LSU got to the 1 and fumbled previously. Eddie Fuller gets the handoff, makes the cut, first down to the 23-yard line. Excellent Tennessee penetration, but about a step too late. 12-yard gain by Eddie Fuller.
LSU using motion. It's creating some confusion in the Tennessee secondary. Not confusion, just movement, changing of assignments. Great job by Packnett there blocking as Fuller takes it up inside. The purpose of motion, moving the tight end, motioning the flanker, is to create changes, cause the defense to think about other things than playing their responsibility.
People off balance, and Tennessee looks off balance. First down 10 from the 23. Eddie Fuller driving to the 20. First tackle, Keith DeLong. He's had 3 this afternoon, and the penetration on 2 or 3 plays by the Tennessee defense has been coming from junior outside linebacker Tracy Hayworth, 88. He was the man back there at the exchange when Fuller slipped it and got the first down yardage.
Hayworth and Kimbrough, both veteran players on defense for Tennessee. The problem that Ken Donahue and the defensive coaches have is they're outmanned. Man for man, LSU's offense is better than their defense. They have to be creative, but they don't want to be so creative that they cause confusion.
Here's the I formation now, shifting into the split back passing spread on second down. Quick toss, Moss nailed at the point of reception at the 16-yard line. Preston Warren made the hit. Klein is there too. Number 21 Warren, big play man.
Played perfectly by Tony Moss. As a defensive back, you can't be expected to break this pattern up, but as he catches the ball, you want to be letting them know that you're around. Nice job, head up, and Tony will remember that. He will ask Tommy to throw the next one a little bit harder.
Preston Warren has 2 interceptions, one in each of the previous games, and 19 hits.
One of those interceptions he ran back for a touchdown against Duke.
3rd down 3. LSU. Last time they got the first down on a penalty. This time they hand it to Egloff. Does he make it? It's close. Egloff hit first by 66, Martin Williams.
That time LSU tries to create the diversion to the wide side of the field and trap it back up inside. Johnny Majors says this is the toughest schedule that he has ever has to face, or excuse me, that he has had to face in his coaching career. Got off to 1981 to a slow start against Georgia. Got beat 44-0. Then Southern Cal 43-7. Came back that year to play in the Garden State Bowl. Finished with an 8-4 record.
I loved what he said about this year's schedule. He said we have a young team with a mature schedule.
And he has got to be concerned not only about this game. He's got to limit his vision and focus on this game now. But he's looking at Auburn next week, Washington State, then Alabama.
It looks like LSU is going to go for it. It was short about the length of a ball and a half as it gets reset over on the right hash mark. And LSU on 4th down will go for it. We'll call it 4th down 1. Michigan State in front of Notre Dame early. We'll keep you posted on a lot of big games today. So LSU 4th down and less than a yard. 3 tight ends in the game for LSU, and the volunteer defense facing a 4th and short yardage. Fuller, 1st down, LSU to the 10. So we have 5:05 to go in the first quarter. It is a scoreless game, but it's been all LSU offensively.
Let's watch this LSU offensive line work. Fire out again, Tennessee low, but look at McCray get turned there. Number 70, Charles McCray, got bumped to the outside. That's usually a closed down defense. You want to get that running back up in the air. That time, LSU's offense was able to create a gap on the ground.
1st down 10, just outside the 10 for the Tigers. Moss in motion. Misdirection. Fuller to the 5. Preston Warren with the tackle.
Bob, what's happening on that motion? They lined up strength into the sideline, bring the flanker back in motion. What's happening is it's changing the run support for Tennessee. LSU then running back to the tight end to try to take advantage of that change in support.
Along with Tim Foley, this is Bob Neal from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. 4:19 to go, quarter number 1. LSU has its 2nd down goal from the Tennessee 5. LSU had it inside the Tennessee 5-yard line on their opening possession, but Victor Jones, the fullback, fumbled. Tennessee couldn't get the 1st down. After the punt, LSU is driven back to the 5. Here is Jones again. Stopped at the 5. Hit by Keith DeLong. 4 tackles already for DeLong early in the ball game. It'll be 2nd down goal, LSU. Talk about dominating offensively. LSU 16 plays in the first quarter. Tennessee 3 downs and out.
Obviously, that's not the kind of mix you'd like to see. The strength of this Tennessee football team is their offense. They would like to see the defense on the field as little as possible. It's not working that way for them in the first quarter.
Now here's another opportunity for the Tennessee defense. 3rd down and goal, LSU from the 5. Hudson calls timeout. Now he may be talking about crowd noise here, but the timeout has been charged to LSU.
I think he was concerned about an early start of the playing clock on the field, the 25-second clock on the field.
We'll be back in a moment. 3:16 to go, quarter number 1.
A good lad.
Here in the first quarter, time remaining 3:16. It'll be third down goal, LSU. 2 receivers and a back split to the right side. Hudson play fakes. Touchdown to Eddie Fuller, his second touchdown reception of the season.
It's a Rick Barry play right there, Bob.
Pick and roll.
Watch Tony Moss come in motion, number 6. He's going to come into your screen right there, and he is going to tell the official that he's running across the field. Actually, what he's doing is looking for the guy that's covering the strong back. Fuller runs into DeLong, knocks him off stride, allows a touchdown.
David Browndyke has never missed a point after in his LSU career. The left footer continues his string. He's 62 out of 62 on point afters. With 3:11 to go in the first quarter, LSU, dominating this game offensively, has taken a 7-0 lead. Next week, on offense, their first offensive series was first down from their own 1-foot line, so we really didn't get to see the Volunteer offense in motion. Deep back is Keith Davis, number 28. Lets it bounce in and out of the end zone. Touchback. Tennessee will take over. First down 10 from their 20-yard line. So the first Tennessee possession was 3 downs and out, but this time they start from the 20.
Let's watch this replay of the touchdown now. Great job of camera work here. Tony Moss comes back in motion. This is a play that everybody runs, but it's just so hard to stop. He takes it inside. Great job of defense by Kelly Davis. Knocks him off, but you see Keith DeLong running into your picture. It cuts off DeLong's angle. He can't get to the running back Fuller in time to prevent the throw, and it's a touchdown for LSU.
That was an offsides call on the kickoff against LSU. They'll penalize them 5 and kick it off again. Tennessee with an opportunity to establish a little bit better field position for Jeff Francis and company. There's the scoring drive, 48 yards. That's after LSU had taken it inside the 5 and fumbled. Tennessee punted it out to the 48, and then LSU drove it back and consumed nearly 7 minutes before they got the 6 and the point after.
And Ed Zombrecker, who's calling the plays for LSU, the offensive coordinator, has to be very happy with that drive. They ran the ball, they mixed in the pass, just the same possession kind of option passing that LSU used so effectively last year. And Jerry Sullivan, as you look at, he's looking at his page right there. Jerry Sullivan's the receiver coach, and he's actually the mentor of Wendell Davis and Raji McGee and Kitchen, and he's the guy that's teaching these new group of receivers they have. He calls them the midgets. Archer called them the Smurfs, because they're all little rascals. If you're under 5'8", Jerry Sullivan gets the coaching because you're now a wide receiver at LSU.
There's a stat Tennessee doesn't like very much. They have fallen behind all season long, but they did that last year and came back and won some games.
Yes, and Jeff Francis led them back to 4 victories after they were behind in a tie with Auburn. So this team's got a lot of character.
John Janung kicking off for LSU, and a better break for Tennessee from the 11, Keith Davis. Nice move. Davis drives to the 34. So that was a net gain of 14 yards on the LSU offside. First hit by Mike Hebert from New Orleans, Louisiana. 24-yard run back by Keith Davis. And at the 34, the Tennessee Volunteers now with an opportunity to go into the kind of offense we'll see, Tim. The Walt Harris called offense.
Walt does a marvelous job as the offensive coordinator here at Tennessee, and he will make this LSU defense cover the field.
Receiver split wide. Hand to the fullback, Roland Poles, who is lined up deep, diving over the middle and gets it out to the 38-yard line. Reggie Cobb goes in for Poles now. So they open with Reggie Cobb on the sideline, and Reggie Cobb is the sophomore from Knoxville. He had 182 yards versus Duke last week. Was SEC Offensive Player of the Week for that effort. Averages nearly 6 yards a carry, has 7 catches already this year.
They're integrating him into the pass offense a lot more frequently than they did last year. They want the ball in his hands.
Second down, 6. Volunteers trailing 7-0. Closing moments of the first quarter. Play fake to Cobb. Francis steps in there. Can't find anybody. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a little more before he goes down. Ron Sancho, number 52, will get the tackle. Speaking of Sancho, great linebackers from LSU.
Thunder and lightning. Here comes Ron Sancho. Been a 4-year starter at LSU. Just good arm over, keeps his feet going, works his way around Phil Stewart there. Good effort by Stewart to keep him off, but Sancho keeps after Francis. Nice job of coverage by the LSU secondary that forced Francis out of the pocket.
All right, receivers are number 4 Cleveland, number 5 Woods, split out wide at the top of your screen. Francis dropping into the pocket. Penalty markers down. Francis hit as he throws, almost picked off. Closest man to the ball was Jamie Bice, number 40 of LSU. That ball was a die and duck. Darrell Phillips had shot right up the middle and was in the face of Jeff Francis. Penalty marker down in the Tennessee backfield. I'll tell you, Clint James, Darrell Phillips, Carl Dunbar, the up front 3, and then you'll add those linebackers for their up front 7.
Holding, offense, decline.
And they're probably as good as anybody in the country.
Mike Archer certainly feels that way. He'll stack his front 7 against any front 7 in the SEC. Look at Clint James' work there. Nice job on offense by Simons. But the pocket eventually collapses as Darrell Phillips, an all-SEC performer, breaks through.
They decline the penalty. Tennessee on 4th down will punt. Let's see if LSU elects to go for it this time. No, they're into a coverage for the punt. Ken Elmore with the punt. Good hang time. Jimmy Young at the 23. Right up the middle. Breaks a tackle or 2, but then goes down at the 31-yard line, where LSU will take over again with 1:29 to go in the first quarter. So Tennessee offense can't get untracked once again. 39-yard punt, 8-yard return. Trophy candidate Tommy Hodson of LSU is 6 out of 6 for 55 yards and a touchdown.
Both good, solid quarterbacks. Obviously, this year, Hodson has the better supporting cast. People just really tend to overlook how important that interior line is for the success of a quarterback.
Number 2, Slip Watkins. Number 34, Victor Jones in the backfield for LSU. There's Jones. He's the man who fumbled on the goal line earlier. He's tackled at the 33. Marion Hobby, number 90, with a stop for Tennessee.
People talked about Hodson being off a little last week. His completion ratios are usually around 60%. Last week only 33% against Texas A&M, but he's getting used to new receivers. They had loads of rain. This is like home for LSU. They had loads of rain all preseason. They've got several practices rained out, and they just haven't had as much work as they'd like to have.
Very little, if any, rain falling now. About 2 yards short of the first down for Slip Watkins. He is a slip of a guy, 5'11", 180, junior from Fort Lauderdale. And as Mike Archer said, on this artificial surface, if Slip Watkins can get it outside and turn the corner, it's over.
Yeah, he's really interested to see what will happen if Watson hits the corner running downhill on the slope and the artificial, because this guy here qualified for the Olympic trials. He's the 3rd fastest man in the country in the 200 meters.
24 seconds to go in the first quarter. LSU leading 7-0, and it's 3rd down 2. Hudson to Alvin Lee. First down at the 48. Penalty marker in the LSU backfield. Looked like holding. If so, it'll nullify the first down toss. 9 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Personal foul over here. Personal foul over here. We'll replay the down. Replay the down.
They'll replay the down, so it still works out well for Tennessee. It was holding. It was just what you might call intense holding.
Let's watch what's happening to the Tennessee defense on motion. Look at the change here as the back comes in motion. In that particular play, they're playing man-to-man, so Bradley was the only person that moved. We'll show you something a little bit later on that shows the rotation of the Tennessee defense on motion. And this is the effect that LSU is trying to create.
Looks like Hobby had mixed it up with Todd Coutee. That's where the double personal fouls came from. That's the end of the first quarter. LSU ball leading 7-0. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports.
Disoriented is kind of a strong word to use, and I think that Tennessee allowed 7 points in that quarter, and they've got to expect their offense to get into this football game. Give them some good field position, and this game ain't over yet.
All right, we're ready to begin the second quarter now from Knoxville. 3rd down 2, LSU. The LSU back had to step up there and ask Tommy Hodson what the checkoff call was. That was Fuller. Hodson with his longest toss of the day, complete to Alvin Lee at the 41-yard line of Tennessee, covered by Preston Warren. 21-yard gain. Here are the first quarter statistics. Tommy Hodson, first of all, is perfect. 7 out of 7 throwing the football. Tennessee has yet to complete a pass. 114 to 10 yards. I mean, it has been LSU. The score could easily have been 14-0 at least. LSU fumbled on the goal line in the first quarter.
When you've got inexperienced players playing, Bob, they have a tendency to attack the short routes and really go for the bait, opening up that deep corner stuff.
Victor Jones leads the way for Slip Watkins to the 29-yard line. Slip Watkins for 11 yards. The stop was made by 39 Kelly Days and 40 Shazon Bradley, the 18-year-old freshman linebacker for Tennessee.
And this is what Mike Archer was looking for. Motion by Jones, get the blocker out in front, throw it to the flame burner here. Downhill, here he comes. Woo! Shazon Bradley reacts back to help make the stop. Looks like Kelly Days coming over, helping out. One thing that you can say about this Tennessee defense is that they're always hustling. They were behind 31-7 against Duke, came back to within 3.
First down 10, LSU. Watkins in motion. Rolling and looking the same way as Hodson, now throwing it over the middle to Alvin Lee. About a yard short of the first down. Penalty marker down. Early moments of the second quarter from Knoxville. Bob Neal and Tim Foley with you in the booth today. Kim Anderson with player identification. Alex Vergara with our statistics. Rose Smith, the booth manager. Holding, LSU preliminary call. There's Mike Archer. He's no longer the youngest coach. Young man by the name of David Rader at Tulsa is the youngest coach in Division 1A, but Mike is only 35. Tim, you and I were doing this game in 1983 as we listened to Dick Burleson here on the holding call.
10-yard penalty on the offense. Repeat the down.
Tennessee won the game 20-6, as I recall. Mike Archer was watching it down in Miami, he told us.
And Mike's asking the official very gently to, watch holding on Tennessee too. Don't just pick on us here.
Mike Archer said last night at our meeting, he says, I love these meetings with Tim Foley. He says, Tim was my hero when I was a child in Miami. Wasn't it? Didn't he say something like that?
Yeah, something like that, right. Mike was a defensive secondary coach at the University of Miami when I was doing color for them.
Now it's 1st and 20, LSU, thanks to the holding call at the 39 of Tennessee. Here's Victor Jones reading the holes. Nice job of lateral read on the part of Victor Jones, who darted over to his right and got an extra 2 or 3 yards. Hayworth gets the stop.
And we saw Norwood and Hobby going after it down here on the near side of the field. And this Tennessee team is, they know the situation. They're very emotional. They're on the verge of letting things spill over between the whistles. And it's frustrating for fellas like Hobby, who's been around here, been a good performer, to go through the last 2 weeks. It's discouraging for the coaches.
Hobby's mixed it up with Kuti, the center, and Norwood, the tackle. See who's next. 2nd down 15, LSU. That's it. Fuller to the 27-yard line. LSU must cross the Tennessee 20 for the first down.
You see a very mature, very poised Tom Hodson has developed every year, becoming more knowledgeable, becoming more confident in his decisions. And when you know what you're going to do with the football, it's a lot easier to put it on the mark.
He knows today that he's going to complete him. He's 8 out of 8. 3rd down 8. LSU, Tennessee with 5 defensive backs from the 27.5-yard line. Tennessee with the blitz. Lee read it. Touchdown, LSU. Tennessee sent him. Hodson and Lee saw it, sprinted down the sideline to the junior from Beaumont, Texas. That's his first TD reception of the year.
Actually, Bob, they were playing a 2-deep zone. They had a blitz coming inside from DeLong, but Moss had whipped Lincoln, getting to the sideline before he could get help over there from Nelson, and just Hodson saw it, drilled it in there.
14-0 LSU, 12:01 to go in the second quarter. Tennessee defense averaging giving up 438 yards a game. May top that today unless they find a way to stem the Tigers. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports.
Coach at LSU is going to be real happy with this move. They're looking at Alvin Lee, an ex-tailback. Now watch this move to get around Jeremy Lincoln. Heads him up, a little quick foot stutter, and now watch that arm come over. Jeremy Lincoln's got to jam that wide receiver, keep him off the sideline. Lee clears him immediately. Hodson reads it, pops it in there before Nelson can get over to help. Touchdown LSU. Good job by Alvin Lee. Boy, I'm saying that about a receiver. That's hard for me to say.
Alvin Lee had 2 catches all last year. Had 4 against A&M, and now he has the first touchdown reception of his career. Keith Davis for Tennessee to the 28 and down. Scoring drive for LSU this time. They really had 3 scoring drives, but fumbled on the goal line. It could easily be 21-0 by this time. 69 yards on that one in 4 minutes 28 seconds, and Alvin Lee's 27-yard touchdown catch makes it 14-0 LSU, 8th ranked in the country. Tigers coming off a superb year last year. A lot of people think Tennessee was going to be a challenger for the SEC title. They are 0-1 with the loss to Georgia. They can sorely afford to go 0-2 in the conference today. Francis gives it to Cobb to the 34-yard line. Gain of about 6 by Reggie Cobb. Tennessee has 0 yardage passing and 17 yards running, and we have 11:41 to go in the second quarter. LSU approaching 200 yards of total offense in a quarter and a third.
See, LSU has the benefit of being able to play a pretty vanilla defense. They move their fronts around a little bit, but they play mostly just on talent and ability. It's like Nolan Ryan. He doesn't have to throw a lot of junk. He just throws it by him.
Second down 3, Tennessee. Francis. Cobb hit in the backfield. Very little, if any, gain. LSU saw that coming. We haven't had a chance to talk about LSU's defense very much, but 70 James, 62 Phillips, and Carl Dunbar are tough. There's Slip Watkins and Eddie Fuller, the backfield tailbacks for LSU. But we're speaking of the defense right now. They call that front line Heavy D and the boys. That's Darrell Phillips' term. He's the leader of the front 3. Now it's third down 3, Tennessee. Heavy D is number 62. Francis. Great grab for a first down at the 35-yard line. Number 5, Thomas Woods, beat LSU's best cornerback, Mike Mays, 24.
And this ball is on the money. Remember, we talked about the cornerback getting depth. Watch Mays get depth there. Mays is running right with the same coverage as the Tennessee LSU touchdown. We're going to get a chance to see it again. We're seeing Mike Mays working against Woods. He's to the outside. Now he's turning and running. What a throw by Jeff Francis, right on the nose. That ball was thrown downfield far enough that Vice could have helped more.
30-yard gain, first down of the day for Tennessee. A handoff to Roland Poles, tackled by Darrell Phillips. Fumble on the play, and LSU has come up with the ball. Tennessee gets the 30-yard play to get the crowd on their feet. Then the fumble recovered by Clint James, and they'll spot it at the 33-yard line. Number 70, Clint James with a big play.
How about Jeff Francis? We're going to see this fumble again. And this is what Tennessee's offense can ill afford to do. Turn the ball over.
We'll be back to see the fumble right after this timeout. Tigers ball, first down 10 from the 33. We'll look at that fumble again in just a moment. Handoff to Fuller, breaking tackles. Tennessee has had a problem in their previous 2 games with not being able to stop the runner on the first contact, and we're seeing it here again today. Now let's talk about that Tennessee fumble and have a look at it again.
Tennessee just made a big play. They've got some momentum starting to build as they stick the ball into Roland Poles. Looked like to me he could have been down, but you know, Poles working, and that often can happen to a running back, working, trying to gain extra yardage. Looked like he was down to me.
Second down 3, LSU. Eddie Fuller in the slot, but the quick handoff goes to Egloff, who does not get the first down. He is stopped at the line of scrimmage by Keith DeLong, Keith's 5th tackle of the afternoon. So Tennessee now with a third down conversion stop opportunity at the 40-yard line of LSU. Tigers leading 14-0. 9:05 to go in the first half.
Johnny Majors came to Pittsburgh. You saw there in 73 and 72 they'd only won one game, and by 76 they were national champs. A fine job of coaching.
LSU 5 out of 7 on third down conversions. Third down 3. Moss in motion. Hand off Fuller. First down. A lot of misdirection happening there. Players running left, right, back, forward. And Keith DeLong makes his 6th tackle, but after LSU picks up the first down. That is a ton of first downs. 10, 11 first downs on the day for LSU.
Once again, mixing the run and the pass. And Fuller, you know, Harvey Williams is one of the best running backs in the SEC. They lose him along with graduating 3 starting wide receivers, 2 linemen, and Williams. Fuller's really stepped in and done a remarkable job at tailback.
First down 10. It's Fuller and Egloff in the backfield. Hodson to throw. Lee is open. He is hit instantly by number 6, Tony Nelson. And now Hodson is 10 out of 10. The LSU record for most consecutive completions is 12. Jeff Wickersham versus Rice in 85 and Alan Risher versus Tulane in 81. So we're 2 away from Hodson's completions, tying the LSU record for most consecutive. He's 10 for 10 today. Second down 4 from the 49-yard line of Tennessee. Halliburton, the tight end, moves from right to left. Hand off Fuller. Big hole. Fuller to the 40 and inside. First down, Tigers. 7 Keith DeLong tackles on the afternoon now. LSU has gone over 200 yards in total offense with 7:32 to go in the second quarter.
Preston Moore trying to tap some people on the back, trying to get them going, trying to get them fired up. What Tennessee has to do is hang on, continue to believe. Although the level of confidence at this point has to be becoming a bit thin, you know, after Georgia and Duke. But they've got to hang in there. They've got to fight back.
Fuller in motion. Egloff, 36, limped off the field, and Victor Jones has come in for him. Halliburton with his first catch of the season from tight end. He's replacing the departed Brian Kinchin at that position. He's junior, 6'4" is Halliburton from Port Arthur, Texas.
And Hodson was trying to get it all that time. Tony Moss down the middle. Little diversionary tactics, short motion. And Hodson dumps it off to Halliburton.
Gain of 2 yards on the toss. There you see Hodson has moved past during this game Alan Risher into second place of career passing yardage. But look at the career leader. Nearly 7,000 for Wickersham. Second down 9 LSU. Hand off to Fuller again. Picking his way. First down. To the 25-yard line. The middle seems porous for Tennessee. LSU continues to probe the running game right over the middle, and that's where you're seeing Martin Williams and McCray, Johnson, Hobby, etc.
Well, I don't think there was any doubt they were mismatched up front. Look at Norwood. He locks up DeLong, and that's a big man getting in your way. McCray doesn't close it down. Mike Kelly, who they've moved to outside linebacker to help shore up that position, comes over and makes the tackle.
First down 10 Tigers just outside the Tennessee 25-yard line. Fuller in motion. They give it to Victor Jones, the fullback. To the 23-yard line. 5:58 to go second quarter. DeLong and Hobby combined for the stop.
Well, this is something that the folks in Knoxville aren't used to seeing. And it's something that every football coach at one time or another runs into, where you're outgunned and you're outmanned. And there are times when your football team just has to play through those times, so those people that are playing with inexperience develop some experience and maintain their attitudes.
Second down 7. Hodson going for the completion record. He's one short. To the 10-yard line goes Alvin Lee. Hodson now 11 out of 11. If he completes his next pass, he'll be 12 out of 12, and that will tie the record of most consecutive completions held jointly by Wickersham and Risher.
Let's watch Alvin Lee work. Fuller out in the flat. The little flood pattern. They're both running option patterns. Lee just looking for the open area. Doesn't want to take it back into DeLong, who's trying to hustle out to get to him.
We've got a correction on the stat. That was the 12th completion, and now the record has been tied by Hodgson. He's 12 out of 12. Down to the 5-yard line goes Eddie Fuller. There's Hodgson. Wow, 2 TDs, 129 yards, 12 out of 12. And LSU, it's not like they're not running the ball. LSU has 119 yards on the ground.
You know, LSU has the benefit of Mickey Guidry in reserve. If things aren't going well for Hodgson, Zombrecker and Archer talk, and they get Guidry into the game. But I think Mickey can rest his hands for a while.
Second down goal from the 5. Fuller hit at the 5. Ernest Fields, the backup to Keith DeLong, number 23, redshirt freshman from Milan, Tennessee, makes the stop.
Good job of defense by Tennessee here. Good job of closing by Mike Kelly. Forces the runner to bounce outside, and then Ernest Fields, the freshman, puts a hat on him. And what you're trying to do at Tennessee, you're trying to earn every yard. You're trying not to hurt yourself. You don't want to become impatient and blitz, allowing them a quick score.
Third down goal from the 5. Hodgson. Incomplete, almost a touchdown. It was intended for 6, Tony Moss. He couldn't hold on to it. He was sandwiched over there. So LSU does not get 7 now, but with the ball at the 5, LSU will bring in the field goal team. David Browndyke, the left footer, will attempt to go for 3.
And Hodgson drills it, and he sneaks it in there between Days and Preston Warren, but Tony Moss just can't hang on. Nice throw. Would have been a nice catch, but good defense.
Ball will be spotted at the 12, so it'll be a 22-yard field goal attempt. Flags fly. Hayworth and Moore for Tennessee. That was number 88 and 74. Jumped off and made contact.
No flag.
Oh, there was a flag. I think he meant inadvertent flag.
It appeared as though the center moved the football. A Tennessee player got back.
Here's Browndyke for the 22-yard attempt. Tough angle, but it's good. And LSU takes a lead of 17-0 with 3 minutes 38 seconds to go in the first half from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports. 17-0 LSU. Returning it is Anthony Morgan, a freshman wide receiver, number 80, who trips over the yard marker and goes down at the 21-yard line. Anthony Morgan's a young man they like a lot at Tennessee in their secondary, and they've had some great ones. He's a sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio. Tim McGee's from the Ohio area.
Cleveland, Ohio. Tim McGee's from Cleveland, Ohio. Anthony Hancock from Cleveland. They've had some good ones from Cleveland, Ohio.
Starting to develop, I think there's an idea to look for receivers in the Cleveland, Ohio area. First down, 10, Tennessee. Tennessee with 1 first down on the day. One. Francis. Incomplete. Would have been close to a first down. Mays covering on the play. 1 out of 4 is Francis.
And this is the pass he loves to throw. He loves to throw it to the outside. A tough pass for most quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, as a defensive back, you can sit inside most receivers to the wide side of the field because they won't throw that pass. But Francis has the arm and the ability to get it out there in a hurry. That ball a little underthrown.
Second down, 10. From the 21. Delay to come. Hit in the backfield. Right up the middle comes number 98. The linebacker, Verge Ausberry, who is the leading tackler on this LSU team coming into today's ball game. Ausberry, the junior from New Iberia, Louisiana.
I'm talking to Pete Jenkins, the defensive coordinator. They like the way that Ausberry comes on the blitz. Usually they're coming from the outside with Hill or Sancho. Last year, Nicky Hazard was the starter. As you see, Pete Jenkins, Nicky Hazard was the starter. Didn't have Ausberry's speed, but they'll do that now. And as you see, it worked fine against Tennessee.
Third down, 14. Cobb with only 3 yards on the day. Had 182 last week against Duke. Francis just eludes the grip of Darrell Phillips and throws another incompletion. Francis now 1 out of 5 on the day, and Tennessee offense just can't get moving.
Francis trying to make something happen. Tries to find a Tennessee receiver on the sideline. Stepped out of bounds. Alvin Harper couldn't keep both feet in. Dropped the ball also. So
2 deep backs for LSU. Elmore gets away the punt. It's a good one. Jimmy Young at the 39-yard line. Looks for the picket fence. Doesn't find it. Cuts it inside. Gets a couple of yards and goes down. 2:30 to go second quarter. LSU 17. Tennessee nothing. An excellent field position once again for the Tigers. Hodson 12 out of 13. He only tied the LSU record for consecutive completions, held now jointly by the top 3 passers, Wickersham, Risher, and Hodson. Almost picked off. Coming up quickly on the ball is Preston Warren. He has 2 interceptions already this year, intended for 6, Tony Moss.
You know, and if Preston Warren had more experience, if they were looking for him to be an all-star candidate or an all-American candidate before the season, he's having that kind of... Look at him close on the ball. Gets his feet under him. Here comes the ball. Pow. Knocks it out of there. Just an excellent break on the ball. As you pointed out, Bob, 2 interceptions this year, 1 return for touchdowns, and several other big plays.
Hodson now 12 out of 14 for 129 yards, 2 TDs. With 2:25 to go in the second quarter, LSU leading 17-0. On a draw, that's Egloff. First down, LSU. Egloff went off about 15 minutes in real time ago with a sore ankle. Limped off, came back in, gets 18 yards on the carry.
Well, Egloff and Victor Jones aren't going to carry the ball a lot, but when they do, they're effective because people are looking for them as blockers, and as a result, they don't really give them the respect that they deserve as they drop into their passing areas.
First down, LSU at the 38-yard line of Tennessee. Hodson under pressure from Hayworth. Intelligently throws it away, something Hodson has been intelligent about during his entire career.
You know, a remarkable statistic is that LSU has had no sacks in the last 4 games as we look at the quarterback comparison. Jeff Francis, of course, Tennessee's defense trying to find itself. Tom Hodson and the LSU offense well into their game plan. But no sacks in 4 games, Bob. That's a great combination between protection and a smart quarterback, knowing when to just get rid of it, let it go.
And Tennessee last in the league in sacks. They have only 1 on the season, so it's a wrong way matchup from the Volunteer standpoint. Penalty markers down. Looked like there was some movement. Ruffin Rodriguez, left guard, number 68, I think, raised up from Thibodaux, Louisiana.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense.
Dick Burleson, the referee today. Minute 55 to go in the second quarter. LSU leading at 17-0 and in total control of this ball game. No other way to say it. 137 yards on the ground, 129 yards in the air. Tennessee has run for 15 total yards. Cobb has 3 carries only for only 3 yards. And Francis 1 out of 5 for 30. Could be the all-time halftime adjustment. Second down, 15, LSU. Good pressure right up the middle, forcing Hodson to have to get rid of it. It was Hobby who came after him. It'll be third down, 15.
Hodson talked to Slip Watkins after that play, and he's talking to Slip about 1 of 2 things. One is if you miss a protection, that might have been one, and the other is you got to turn around and look. You are the blitz release here. You are the guy. Look, get over here, youngster. I got something to tell you. I don't like to hurt. I don't like these big guys chasing me. You turn around and look for the ball.
It was a lookout block. Third down, 15 now. Look out. Hodson, plenty of time this time. Intended for Fuller, incomplete at the 25. So this time the Tennessee defense holds, and LSU will have to give it up. Mark Fletcher covering on the play. The intended receiver was 33, Fuller. And a round of applause for the Tennessee defense. The last last few years, we've heard a lot of that applause here in Knoxville. Not so much in 1988.
Well played by the secondary. Good trail technique by the defensive back. Forced Hodson to put more air under it than he'd like to, giving Fletcher time to come over and make the hit on fourth.
You saw number 5, Thomas Woods, back at his 15. Brian Griffith is the punter. He's the guy who punts and tries to drop it inside the 10. Almost hit his own player, but that momentum took it into the end zone for a touchback out to the 20-yard line. It'll be first down 10 Tennessee. A 43-yard punt by Brian Griffith. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports. 17-0, minute 36 to go in the first half. Tim, if Tennessee could get something on here, it'd be a whole different halftime. 17-7 instead of 17-0. Reggie Cobb's the single setback. A lot of receivers in there, but they give it to Cobb. Out to the 28-yard line for Reggie Cobb. Dunbar, number 63, with the stop for LSU. Clock ticking down to a 1:23 to go. Tennessee in the half. Tennessee with 2 timeouts left. Francis, here comes Eric Hill, great speed. And Francis shows you why he's a smart man.
Hey, I tell you what, I saw Eric Hill down there in the locker room. This guy looks like he's carved out of graphite. You know,
I like your phrase for guys built like him. Significant. What did you call him?
Like a significant human being.
Yes.
Watch me lose a mom.
6'2", 245. Talking to Gil Brandt from the Dallas Cowboys today prior to the game. He's here looking at this. Gil Brandt loves this guy. Says he is a pro prospect with a capital P. Third down 5, Tennessee. Cobb driving to the 29. Needed to get to the 30 for the first down. Tennessee's offense at a minute 35. The fans on the edge hoping that quick drill offense could get something going, but Tennessee elected basically to go to the ground game with the one exception of the pass attempt, and that's when Eric Hill broke things up. Timeout LSU.
Joey Wessel was out in the field trying to get the attention of defensive players to get that timeout. I'll tell you one thing, as a participant, especially a defensive player, when you're in an opposing team's den, there's nothing more than you like to hear than booing. If you can get the home fans to boo the home team, well then, you know, you're doing your job.
Coming up at halftime, the Pride of the Southland Band will perform. Craig Sager will be in our studios in Atlanta with scores and other college games around the nation. Also great games in SEC. Using that timeout to stop the clock, knowing they'll have another opportunity to try to get something going with probably somewhere around midfield position. Jimmy Young, Greg Jackson are back for the Tigers. Moore gets it away. Wobbly. Line drive to Jackson from the 29. Jackson to the 46. Good field position with 41 seconds left. LSU has 1 timeout remaining. Tackle made by Brian Kimbrough for Tennessee. A 42-yard punt and a 17-yard return.
And good hustle by a defensive back out of Orlando, Florida. John Childers, 37, getting a good block to spring Jackson.
17-0 LSU. 41 seconds to go in the half. Tigers had a 51-yard 8-play drive that ended in a fumble on the end zone, then a 48-yard drive, a 69-yard drive for TDs, a 62-yard drive for a field goal. We're only stopped by Tennessee once this half. Incomplete. Hudson throws as he goes down. Eddie Fuller couldn't grab it. Clock down to 36 seconds in the half.
Good pressure by Mark Moore. This is his first year in a Vol jersey, and they're expecting big things from him, but there's a learning process that has to occur that takes time. As you watch Jerry Sullivan study his wide receivers. Jerry's a native of Miami, Florida. Coached for 7 years at South Carolina and was with Sam White at Indiana for a year before he came to LSU.
Hudson's 0 for 6 on his last 6 attempts. This is attempt number 7. It's not an 0 for. Complete to the 30-yard line, and 29 seconds left, and LSU is definitely in field goal range. They'll of course try to go for even more than that, leading 17-0. Lee with a reception, tackled by Kelly Days. Hurry up offense. Hudson sets him. Hudson now 13 out of 19 on the day. Whistles blowing. Tennessee had a timeout called prior to the snap.
saw Alvin Lee earlier get past the defensive back, score a touchdown. Now he's just running a little inside route, kind of an option route. Look at him move with the football. Nice hands catching that ball, too. That's one thing that Jerry said he was working on those receivers with, as opposed to catching it like running backs do against their chest. As you look at Dick Bumpus giving instructions to Tennessee's defense, he's trying to get them to work on their hands more, catch the ball in their hands. And I like to see a receiver come inside and catch the ball.
Sure you do. made a career out of telling him to come on in here.
Yeah, come here.
Tennessee had 12 men on the field. It's kind of like throwing, you're thinking of Hurricane Gilbert and all the flooding and storming and everybody piling sandbags the last few days. That's what the Tennessee defense is doing. They're trying to pile sandbags against this LSU hurricane called the Tigers, and they're using a lot of players, making a lot of substitutions. They tried to get a fifth defensive back on, couldn't get Charles McCray off, had to use one of the timeouts, and now the Tennessee defense is set for the first down 10 LSU. At just outside the 30. Completes it to Alvin Lee. Down he goes short of the first down at the 22. 20-19 clock ticking, penalty marker down. And LSU in definite field goal range. David Browndyke, the junior from Dallas, is an excellent kicker. So if nothing else were to happen here, if LSU stays in this territory, it'll be certainly a good field goal opportunity. But I think LSU may be marching backwards here.
Looks like unnecessary roughness.
Dead ball foul, personal foul on the offense.
Looks like it might have been on the tight end, 89 Halliburton. Just see if we can pick anything up on the replay.
Good move by Alvin Lee, trying to keep his feet.
There you go, Halliburton, 89. That's the person who drew the flag. That moves it back virtually out of field goal range.
Yeah, that could have been more aggressive. I don't, in terms of being a personal foul, I don't think that was that qualified.
1st and 17. With now 4 seconds left, Hodson throws it out of bounds. Tony Moss, the intended receiver. So 4 seconds left in the half. And this moves LSU. Let's see, they're at the 37. Add 7 to make it 44. It's a 54-yard field goal attempt if they want to try that for David Browndyke. They're not going to do it.
Well, there's a guy that's the 3rd fastest man in the country in the 200 meters going into the football game. Where do you think they're going to send him?
He's probably the fastest man in the country right now.
Right,
all the other guys are in Korea.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. In uniform, at least. So, Tommy Hodson kind of barked at Halliburton after that, and although that wasn't a flagrant foul, it's not the type of thing that you want to have happen. And if this was a closer game, that could really cost you. That's something that can cost you a title. So you want to play smart. You want to use your head. Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Cost LSU a reasonable attempt at 3 more points. Now Hodson throwing it all the way to the end zone. Alvin Lee's down there. Falling incomplete. Almost a Hail Mary kind of pass. It was a Hail Mary kind of pass. Alvin Lee can't grab it. Look at the end of this. Everybody down there. Volleyball. And as a lot of people know, this thing can result in a touchdown.
You see Moss, he's circling in behind. Lee is going to try to just knock it up in the air. Slip Watkins comes in from the front, Moss from the back, but it fell harmlessly to the ground.
At the half, LSU 17. Johnny Majors, Tennessee Volunteers, nothing. That's about the only good news for Tennessee at the beginning of the game. Deferred their choice till now, so Tennessee will have an opportunity to go on offense. Jeff Francis has completed only 1 pass in the entire first half, and Francis came into this game the leading passer in the SEC. There's Keith Davis standing on his own goal line, hoping to get Tennessee some field position. Number 1 is John Janung from Austin, Texas, a freshman who will kick off for the LSU Tigers. They have a problem with the clock here. They don't have it reset yet. So let's have a look at the Alka-Seltzer Plus halftime statistics and look at that. 23 minutes to 7 in possession time, Tim.
And you love to play defense when your offense has the ball. And that's the best way to play it. You know, you can, in 1973, we set most of the records in the NFL in terms of passing defense and run defense because we had such a great offense that would control the football. That's what LSU's doing.
Keith Davis at the goal line. Behind the wedge. Wedge didn't work too well. Davis goes down at the 22. Joe Brown with the hit. We talked about the battle of the quarterbacks today, and Francis is going to get a chance to get back in this starting right now. But Hodson was at one time 12 out of 12. Then he threw 6 straight incompletions to finish the half at 14 of 22. Jeff Francis, 1 30-yard pass completion. As you see, he only attempted 5. Tennessee only had 5 opportunities. 1 first down. On the first play, Reggie Cobb goes out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Cobb with only 15 yards in the first half, and he had 182 last week against Duke.
And a good block by John Rollins leading the play, and Phil Stewart did an excellent job of hooking Ron Sancho. So one of the things that Walt Harris mentioned as we look at these first half possessions.
We're talking about Tennessee not able to get anything done. Notice they only had 1 first down.
And that's not only Tennessee not being able to get anything done, Bob. Excellent job of defense by LSU.
Cobb stopped at the 29. Needs to go to the 31 for the first down, so another conversion situation for Tennessee.
One of the things that Walt Harris talked about, who is the play caller and offensive coordinator for Tennessee, and Jeff Francis's tutor, is he doesn't want to be influenced by the score in the football game. That's something that John Majors talked to him about. He said, run your game plan. Let things happen. Don't worry about the defense. Don't worry about just run the ball and mix in a pass.
3rd down 2. Cobb short of the first down. Reggie Cobb goes down right at the 30, maybe inches more, but Tennessee will have to give it up here.
Watch Gerald Phillips, number 62. Look at him move to the football, control the center, keeps the center off him, and then when it comes time to get rid of him, just unloads him. Sancho knifing in there. And as you mentioned before, Dunbar and James. But that's how you play nose. Control the center. Don't let him don't let him keep you out of any action.
Almost got that punt off the foot of Ken Elmore. Did LSU. Jimmy Young at the 29-yard line. Hauled down from behind at the 33. And LSU with 298 yards of offense in the first half. We'll go back on the attack. 41-yard punt, 5-yard return. Tommy Hodson in his last 15 starts at LSU is 14-0-1. We're talking winner with a capital W.
And with every game and with every snap, he gains more experience, more exposure, more confidence. You're seeing him be more vocal as a leader, too, and he's going to develop into something just out of sight.
Slip Watkins to the 37. We talked about what Tennessee did with the ball in the first half. Here's what LSU did.
That first fumble occurred on the 1-yard line. They were just able to maintain possession. Look at the yards: 45, 48, 31, 44, 46.
2nd down 6 from the 37-yard line. Watkins again. Not much this time. Tackle by Tracy Hayworth. Tennessee's defense starting this half with McCray, Martin Williams, and Hobby up front. Linebackers are Kimbrough, Shazon Bradley, Keith DeLong, and Tracy Hayworth. It's Warren, Klein, Days, and Lincoln in the secondary for the Volunteers. That's telling.
5 stops, secondary 21. And you don't win football games that way.
DeLong has, by the way, 8 tackles individually today. On 3rd down 4, Hodson in the pocket, over the middle, wide open. Watkins first down. Watkins maintains his balance until a host of orange jerseys get there. Initial tackle made by Murray and Hobby. First down to Watkins.
And Donahue working with some inexperienced linemen. And just outmanned up front in terms of personnel.
Kelly Days, 39, the free safety for Tennessee, comes off holding his right arm, and in goes Tony Nelson. We'll check his condition. It is 1st down 10. LSU from midfield. Hodson, deep drop. Tony Moss to the 23-yard line of Tennessee. LSU knifing through the Tennessee defense. Klein with the tackle. 28-yard gain on that toss.
Most inexperienced linebackers, Bob. You see Shazon Bradley stepping up into the line of scrimmage on that fake. Most inexperienced linebacker going to bite on those play fakes and open up that area in that 20-yard line area. It's just something that LSU knew would be there when you're playing against a true freshman who is not yet sure how to play pass defense.
First down 10 from the 24-yard line. Pitch to Watkins. Finds the seam. Cuts it back to the 6-yard line. Spotted at the 4. Jeremy Lincoln finally getting the stop, and it's 1st and goal LSU. They're running it and they're passing it successfully.
I hope it's in the replay. A block by Alvin Lee. He just smacks somebody. You see the body on the ground. Cedric Klein, just a great block by the receiver. This LSU offense hitting on all cylinders right now as Slip Watkins heads toward the end zone. But just unselfish. Receivers blocking downfield, sacrificing their body, and that's the type of effort you got to have to win the SEC.
1st and goal from the 4. Fuller struggles to about the 3. 17-0 LSU. Opening moments, second half from Knoxville. McCray with the tackle for the Volunteers.
As you see, Mike Archer there has done a marvelous job with this LSU football team, and when he got the job, he kept most of the staff that was there. Pete Jenkins became the defensive coordinator. Ed Zombrecker, of course, remained as the offensive coordinator. And Mike said he just let them coach, let them do their thing. Didn't call a play last year, didn't call a defense.
2nd down goal. In motion, Alvin Lee. Play fake. Hodson throwing. Lee catching. Touchdown, LSU. Like a hot knife through butter. Alvin Lee with 2 touchdown catches on the day. That's the 3rd touchdown pass for Tommy Hodson, and he's thrown for 201 yards.
Usually in these situations down here, Bob, you got a man-to-man call. The cornerback trying to go with the receiver in motion. He turns around midstream, heads back the other way. It's awfully difficult for him to get back there and lock up. Good call by LSU.
Point after attempt is good, and Browndyke is now 64 out of 64 in PATs in his LSU career. 10:16 to go, 3rd quarter. LSU on the romp, 24-0. 101 yards in the air and 164 on the ground. Janung with the kickoff. It's Anthony Morgan. As he bobbles it, he turns it back upfield to the 25-yard line, where Tennessee sets up shop. 1st down 10. Here's that scoring drive by LSU. Effortless almost. 67 yards, only 7 plays, 3 minutes, 20 seconds.
You know, effortless is the result of a lot of hard work, right? And
that's right. As though there was no previous effort.
Right. Yeah, that's no problem. We just kind of run down through this Tennessee defense. No problem. Good preparation.
Francis wanted to go to number 81, Alvin Harper. Good coverage by LSU, and Francis is now 1 out of 6 on the day. Penalty marker down at the Tennessee line of scrimmage.
Great depth by the LSU linebackers that time. They know Tennessee's got to bite off some big chunks.
Ineligible receiver downfield was the call, and Harper was hit real hard at the point of reception there and has struggled off the field. They're attending to him on the sideline. Number 81.
Receiver downfield on the offense. No loss of down. Repeat, 1st down.
Francis setting up, clearing it out with Woods, and here comes Harper over the middle. Look at the drop. Look at Bice react on the football. Look how deep he is. Oliver Lawrence back there, Osbury back there, 20 yards down the field. Those veteran linebackers aren't going to bite on that little draw fake.
1st and 15 following the ineligible receiver call against Tennessee. Francis completes this one to Thomas Woods. 1st down, Tennessee to the 41-yard line. 21-yard gain. Jamie Bice covering on the play. Thomas Woods has 2 catches today, the only 2 catches of the day for Tennessee. 14 catches on the year, and last year Woods, as a sophomore, led Tennessee with 26 catches, so he's on target to break that if he can keep up his performance this year. Tennessee's second first down. Francis missed his receiver Woods by a lot that time. 92,000 here today, the official attendance at Neyland Stadium. Despite heavy rain this morning, it has lightened up now to just really a light mist falling here in Knoxville. Alvin Lee, 2 touchdown catches, first 2 of his career,
and a couple of great blocks and some other nice catches. Excuse me. It just is demonstrated very well. He's made a lot of progress.
Second down 10. Reggie Cobb looking for a hole, finding nothing, instead finding Sancho. Ron Sancho makes his 4th tackle of the day, gain of about 3 yards for Cobb. Eric Still limps off the field for Tennessee. I believe that's Eric Still, number 79. Could have been 78, as a matter of fact, before we say that's Eric Still. If it was, that would be Antone Davis, who had a sore ankle anyway. Didn't expect him to play. We'll check on that. One of the Tennessee offensive linemen just limped off. 3rd down 6, Volunteers. Francis has to keep it. Gets the first down. Tackled by Phillips after Francis scrambled down to the 47-yard line of LSU.
LSU just lost containment on the rush that time from the outside.
By the way, it was Antone Davis who came off the field. He had a sore ankle to begin with for Tennessee. They tried to play him a little bit today, and he may have re-injured it. He's on the sideline now being attended to.
Once again, they brought Osbury up the middle, Bob, to create the pressure.
Play fake to Cobb. Francis rolls left, throws left, broken up beautifully. Was that Mark Mays? You bet. Intended for Terrence Cleveland. Mays is a tremendous cornerback, 24.
And he's a tremendous athlete. They really like Mike Archer, thinks he can be an NFL cornerback. We saw him a couple of years ago, almost made the catch. Beautiful reaction on the football. We saw him a couple of years ago play both ways against Ole Miss. He was the most valuable defensive player in the game, and he also caught 2 passes. So a fine athlete.
3 wideouts for Tennessee on the second down 10. From the 48 of LSU. Check off by Francis. Short drop. He's just going to keep it. Saw a spot in the defense, I think. Didn't get much, though. About 5 to the 42-yard line. From Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, light mist falling. Bob Neal and Tim Foley with you. SEC football coverage on the Superstation. We'll be with you all year long, showing the best of the SEC. Next week, we'll be at Columbia, South Carolina for Georgia and the South Carolina Gamecocks.
That ought to be a great contest, too, Bob.
3rd down 5. We've seen some great ones here at Neyland Stadium. Last year's 21-21 tie with Auburn. Reggie Cobb close to the first down, but short. Inside the 40 on the 3rd down. Now Tennessee's trailing for 24-0 inside LSU territory. Got to wonder if Johnny Majors isn't just going to try to go for 4 downs here.
Yeah, they got to go for it. They're going to have to go for it. People in the stands mutter and boo a little bit on a draw on 3rd and long, but the LSU linebackers were way out of there. We saw Tennessee last year against Auburn. 3rd and 9 and the 9 run a draw for a touchdown. It's a good play when you're handing the ball off to Reggie Cobb.
This is 4th down and a long 2 for Tennessee from the 40 of LSU. Cleveland in motion. Francis on the option. Pitches to Cobb. First down. Well executed. Cobb to the 33 of LSU. Jimmy Young with a tackle. And Tennessee with their first drive of the day. Now remember, they were trailing, what was it, 31
to 7
against Duke.
Quarter against Duke, came back and scored 3 times. Jeff Francis has led them from off the mat several times, as we said earlier in the broadcast. 4 times to victory from behind last year, once to get a tie with Auburn, 20-20, the game that we saw. Good job of blocking on that particular play, on the option play by Terrence Cleveland, that permitted Cobb to get enough yardage for first down.
From the 33 of LSU. Harper in motion. Francis in the pocket. Good coverage. Has to dump it off. Gets a gain of a couple of yards down to the 30-yard line. He threw it to Roland Poles, the fullback. Eric Hill with the stop. The scores around the country today in college football. Big day of games. Notre Dame leading Michigan State 13-3. That's in the third quarter. It's being played in East Lansing. West Virginia romping 41-24. Look at that one in the second quarter. South Carolina, a prohibitive favorite. Our key team next week with only a 3-0 lead. Penn State out in front of Boston College at the half. Virginia and Georgia Tech locked in a good one. That one's being played at Charlottesville. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports.
Lineman was taken off the field with an injury. Here's the pitch to Cobb. Can he get outside? No, he cuts it in the hole and dives down to the 24-yard line. On the second down 7, Cobb is close to the first down. So number 70, Clint James, LSU's right defensive end, was shaken up and taken off the field. Mark Boutte is in there in his place, a 6'4" freshman from Lake Charles, Louisiana. And Tennessee is on the drive about a half a yard short of the first down.
That's a play we haven't seen Francis run much in the past, but it's something that Walt Harris has added to the offense this year just to provide another threat on the perimeter. We want you to be concerned about run support.
Pitch to Cobb on the third down short. Cobb gets the first down, I think. It's on the opposite side of the field from the sticks, and this will depend on the mark and the way they're spotting the ball there. It's going to be very close.
We'll probably go with fourth down again here. One of the comments that Johnny Majors was making, Bob, they said in the past 3 years, 90% of the time they crossed their 30-yard line going in, Tennessee got on the board. And this year they fumbled the ball down in there close. They've only hit 1 out of 5 field goals. They haven't been real effective inside the 30.
Reggie Cobb with the first down. Hit by Rudy Harmon, the inside linebacker. That was fourth down and about a foot. And Reggie Cobb got it off the left side.
Big play here. Watch number 58, Rudy Harmon. Stepping in the hole a little late. Dunbar chasing. But good contact and then a surge from the LSU defense. Big first down for Tennessee, obviously. They have to get on the board.
Cobb had 15 yards at the half, has 44 now as Tennessee continues the drive at the 23 of LSU, trailing 24-0. They fake to Cobb. Great job by Francis. He's going to keep it and dive to the 16-yard line. That's not what he wanted out of that exactly, but it was a great fake to Reggie Cobb.
And a good job of coverage by the LSU defense that forced the run from Francis.
Northern Illinois University out in front of Wisconsin 7-0. Northern Illinois favored in that game, and at the half Rutgers leading Vanderbilt by 3. Rutgers beat Michigan State last week. Keith Davis rolling poles in the backfield for the Volunteers. Second down 3. Ball at the 16 of LSU. Francis. Touchdown Tennessee. Mark Adams, the freshman tight end.
Greg Jackson looking to the wide side. What he did was he drew Greg Jackson, the free safety, off to the strong side, and you see Jackson making contact right there, but he actually beat the linebacker upfield, tight end. Jeff Francis looked him off, came back to the tight end. Nice play.
Tennessee going for 2, trailing 24-6. Woods in motion. Osbury chasing Francis. Look at his nimble feet. Throwing across the middle. Incomplete. Well, Verge Osbury was right in there all over Jeff Francis, showing great nimble feet, getting out of the way. Tennessee trailing 24-6, 3:57 to go in the third quarter. And Vincent Fuller are the deep backs for LSU. McCallum's going to take it to Watkins. Doesn't get it very deep from the 80. Fumbles. It came loose again. Tennessee ball at the 13-yard line. Oh, my.
Watkins parked under the ball. contemplated a shoulder pass. Now that thing gets greasy. Heads upfield. It's torn out.
It was torn out of there by Sean Walker.
Sean Walker, the freshman backup for Shazan Bradley. And here we go.
And Mark Moore, number 74, also a youngster, was the man who recovered the fumble. Tennessee's down 24-6, 3:51 to go in the third quarter. They just scored, and it is first down 10 from the 13 of LSU. Cobb has some room. The linebackers close fast, but Cobb gets it to the 8. Eric Hill with the tackle. Tennessee has to get across the 4-yard line for the first down.
This is what we're used to seeing from Tennessee. For some reason, they've been slow starters in games that we've seen, but they're the type of team that always hangs on. It's going to come fighting back, and they're not going to lay down and roll over.
Second down 5 from the 9. Going to be a penalty against Tennessee. Looked like the left tackle may have moved. If so, is Kevin Simon, somebody on the left side, and that'll hurt. It was 2nd and 5. It'll bring up 2nd and 10.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense.
You want to be Johnny Majors, you may look at it positively to say that gives my quarterback a little more room with which to work in the end zone if they want to throw the ball. So they got another wide receiver in there and bring out the second tight end, Mark Adams. And now it'll be 2nd down 10 back at the 13-yard line. Both the receivers, Cleveland and Wood, split wide to the right side. Rollins and Cobb in the backfield. Timeout, Jeff Francis, Tennessee. When you're down here with an opportunity to get back in the game, it's a judicious use of a timeout, in my opinion. So we're called the lights out defense. They'd gone 6 quarters in 1988 without allowing any points. So that Tennessee touchdown was the first, and now I guess the lights have been turned on, but only very dimly.
You know, and when it gets to be 24-0, you lose a little bit of your edge on defense. But I guarantee you, right, they're sharpening the blade right now because they know this could be a football game. Tennessee gets in the end zone here.
See what Francis is going to do after the timeout. 2nd down 10 from the 13. On the play fake, has to just throw it away. That was almost a lateral. Cobb was the safety valve. Well, so much for the best laid plans.
And look who was out there with him. Darrell Phillips dropping back. I mean, that guy covers some ground. They may have put him in free safety before he's through. What do you think about that, Mike?
Senior from Franklin, Louisiana, all-conference last year, Darrell Phillips. I love his nickname for the front three of Dunbar, Phillips, and James. He says it's Heavy D and the boys.
And they are tough. Along with Auburn, just a real tough front three.
3rd down 10, Tennessee. Draw to Cobb. To the 10. Booze on the draw play. But you saw what happened when Tennessee tried to throw it last time. And in comes Chip McCallum, Tennessee's field goal kicker, who is the guy who beat out Dirk Borgononi for the job. He's a freshman from Marietta, Georgia, but he's been to a couple of prep schools, and he's a mature freshman. But last week in the loss to Duke, McCallum missed 4 field goals. This one's going to be about 27 yards. It is good. McCallum gets them back on the board. So Tennessee, after the fumble, can't get it in the end zone, but picks up 3, and it's 24-9. 2:08 remaining in the third quarter. LSU leading.
You know, one of the things that concerned the LSU coaches, Bob, in talking to Pete Jenkins before the game, was the quick strike capability of Tennessee. They've got those rockets on the outside that can score in a hurry. And Tennessee, although they got beat up in the first half against Georgia, had a touchdown pass dropped by Morgan, had a touchdown called back. So LSU is aware of that, and they certainly are going to be a lot more conscientious about what's happening now.
Well, Tennessee had 20 yards on the ground at halftime. In the third quarter, picked up 60 more for a total of 80 on the day. And Francis, with 30 yards at halftime, has 71. He's 4 out of 11 with a TD pass now.
You just saw Pete Jenkins directing some traffic along the LSU sidelines, trying to say, hey, boys, let's get back in this game here. We got to play now.
Slip Watkins, Vincent Fuller back deep. Watkins is 2, Fuller 27 for LSU.
Tennessee trailing 24-9. 2:08 remaining. Short kickoff. Picked up at the 12-yard line by Corey Raymond. And Raymond out to about the 28-yard line. He's hit by Casey Rogers. Over 200 yards for Tom Hodson on the day.
He's had 3 today. Boosts him up to 37.
Injured player on the far side of the field being attended to by the University of Tennessee trainers. Working with the Southeastern Conference in Birmingham, learning athletic administration. Very bright young man. We wish him the very best. Eddie Fuller breaks it. And hauled out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Eddie Fuller found the seam, got it on the outside, and took it 33 yards. Finally chased down by Klein and Warren.
You know, what's remarkable to me is you can lose people like Wendell Davis, Raji McGee, Brian Kitchen, and then Harvey Williams to a knee injury, and you don't skip a beat. Look at the way this rascal runs. Now, he's probably not got the... They would not have caught Harvey Williams at this point. He'd have been gone. But this Eddie Fuller has got, I think, a little bit more quickness and runs with more power inside.
Eddie Fuller with 111 yards on the day. Here's Fuller again. Penalty markers down. Fuller is down at 34. Initial hit by 23 Ernest Fields of the Volunteers. Minute 43 to go in the third. Tennessee has scored 9 points in this quarter, trailing 17-0 at the half. LSU's opening drive took it right downfield, and they picked up a touchdown to make it at one point 24-0.
Mike Archer was a high school quarterback. Grew up in College Station, Pennsylvania.
Holding, 10-yard penalty against the offense. Repeat, first down.
State College, I'm sorry. State College, Pennsylvania. He was an All-American, and of course that's in the shadows of the Nittany Lions. Went to University of Miami as a quarterback, defensive back, became a free safety and punter. Actually chose the University of Miami because of his ability to also play baseball.
First down, excuse me, Tim. First and 19 for LSU. After the holding call. Hodson finds Alvin Lee. Gets a lot of it back, and Alvin Lee goes down at the 34-yard line. Jeremy Lincoln with the stop.
Just another. We'll watch Alvin Lee run this pattern again, but another quick fake into the line to suck in those inexperienced linebackers from Tennessee. That's one of the things I'm sure they're trying to talk to those folks about, as you see Ernest Field, a redshirt freshman, trying to get back there. Dick Bump is trying to make them less aggressive on that play fake.
Second down 7 from the 36. Less than a minute to go, third quarter. Egloff short of the first down, out to the down to about 32-yard line. Ernest Fields. A couple of surprising scores there. Arizona leading. That's first quarter, but leading Oklahoma 3-0. And South Carolina struggling offensively against East Carolina. South Carolina at least a 2-touchdown favorite in that game, but that's at halftime, and Todd Ellis may get uncranked. So,
yeah. And Art Baker's coaching there at East Carolina, and he's done a fine job as an offensive coordinator at FSU and a head coach at the Citadel for a number of years. So,
third down 3 LSU. In motion Fuller. Hodson rolling, no pressure. Off the tips of the fingers of Eddie Fuller, incomplete. Tennessee's defense holds, or more accurately, Hodson missed on the pass. A little finesse problem there. Hodson is, however, 18 of 27 for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns today.
That one just squirted away from Tom Hodson, a little out of the reach of Eddie Fuller.
LSU on 4th down and 3 is electing to go for the first down at the 32-yard line of Tennessee. That's how confident LSU is in their offense. Fuller in motion. Hodson's rolling out the same way, going to look for Fuller again. They connect this time. Went back to the same play. Out of bounds at the 19. Warren covering. That's confidence.
It's also confidence in your defense, Bob. You know, if you don't get it, you got a good defense. Fuller in motion, breaks to the outside. You see Shazan Bradley. He just didn't have the proper angle. That's his man for man, just couldn't get there.
Last play of the third quarter. LSU will have it 1st and 10 at the Tennessee 19 when we return. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports.
Looks like it's coming off the mat a little bit, though, and with that quick strike offense, the game's not over. Stick with us. We got some interesting things yet to happen.
And maybe another fumble, maybe another opportunity for Tennessee, but at the moment, the Volunteers have their backs against the goal line again. It will be 1st down 10, LSU just inside the Tennessee 20-yard line. Eddie Fuller has 111 yards rushing for the Tigers, his career high here today. Here he comes for more. 5 yards more for Eddie Fuller. Down to the 15-yard line, Martin Williams with the stop for Tennessee.
Talking to Johnny Major, said he got his staff together Sunday night and they reviewed both the offensive and defensive films as a unit. Usually just the defensive coaches look at the defensive films, trying to come up with a plan, seeing if the offensive coaches see something that the defensive coaches don't see, trying to promote some unity, because you hate your team to segment at a time when they're under pressure. Blame it on the defense, blame it on the offense.
2nd down 5. Not much that time. Eddie Fuller goes down for no gain. Casey Rogers makes the stop. And you saw a true freshman in the ball game for LSU at wide receiver, a guy they're really high on in motion that time, number 23, Wayne Williams, who's going out of the game now, but you'll be hearing his name a lot in the future. He's a 5'8" guy who's recruited as a tailback, speedster from Brazoria, Texas.
But when Todd Kitchen went down with a knee in the preseason for him, they needed to get another receiver ready, and Wayne Williams is the one they chose.
Here's Fuller in motion on the 3rd down over his outstretched fingertips. LSU is going to have a field goal attempt here. Here's what's happened in the ball game. Hodson, first of all, is happening. 228 yards, 3 TDs. He had 12 of 12 at one time. Fuller, 187 all-purpose yards. That's receiving, running. Tennessee, 150 combined yards. Tennessee has 79 on the ground, 71 in the air. Browndyke in for the field goal attempt. The left footer tries it from 31 yards out. It's good. 27-9 LSU. 13:35 remaining in the game. So Tennessee keeps them out of the end zone, but not off the scoreboard. We'll be right back to Knoxville. LSU leading Tennessee 27-9. LSU came in here ranked 8th in the country. Depending on what happens, a chance to even move up. They're eventually going to get the respect that I think they deserve nationally. In and out of the end zone. It'll be a touchback for Tennessee. It was Anthony Morgan, the youngster, who couldn't control it. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. Next week's Tim and I will be...
Interesting game to see. A couple of very well-coached football teams, both highly thought of around the country. Hottest game next week.
13.5 minutes to go. Jeff Francis trying to get Tennessee back in this ball game, trailing 27-9. A lot of deception now, and he has a blocker out front, but no receivers open. Francis goes down. Burge Osbury get credit for the tackle, his 8th of the day. But the secondary of LSU, Mays and Jackson, Bice, Young, have done a tremendous job with a lot of help from linebackers on occasion of covering these Tennessee receivers.
And isn't it remarkable that they lost all 4 starters from last year? So that just says a lot for the coaching at defensive coaching at second at LSU. And it also says that these young men, Jimmy Young played at SMU, Mays has played here. They all have experience. They work them into the lineup, get them experience, so they're not going with flat rookies.
2nd down. And LSU gets to Francis. Carl Dunbar with the sack. Carl Dunbar, number 63. Junior from Opelousas, Louisiana.
He started last year with Clint James. They used to alternate on the right side. They moved Dunbar over to the left. And Dunbar, Phillips, James. are the men that put the pressure on. Combine that with Ron Sancho coming from one side, Eric Hill from the other side, and we've seen Osbury go.
3rd down and 15 is the actual distance here, not 3rd and 8. Francis, trouble again, gonna have to run with it. It's knocked out of his arm, but his motion was forward. It will be an incomplete pass, not a fumble. Mark Boutte, number 95, involved in that when the official said that Francis' arm was going forward.
Osbury coming again up the middle, creating the pressure along with Phillips that chases him out. Boutte now back after him. He starts to unload it. Good call by the official. Incomplete pass.
Vincent Fuller and Greg Jackson are the punt returners for LSU. Elmore gets it away. It's Goodwin. Jackson at his 36 and turns back inside the 35 to look for some help. Doesn't find much. Down hard at the 42. LSU back out for another offensive opportunity with 11:47 to go in this ball game. 27-9 LSU. You're watching the SEC on TBS Sports. He will be there through thick and thick. 11:47 to go. 27-9 LSU. Hodson completing it to Slip Watkins. Driven out of bounds near the first down stick at the 47.5-yard line of Tennessee. 40-yard plus drives today. LSU's had 6 of them. Tennessee 1.
Well, the fact that Tennessee's only been able to put together 1 speaks highly for the LSU defense, linebackers, and secondary. Talking to John Fontes, who's the defensive backfield coach here at LSU, and he's just really happy with the work habits of his kids and their ability to grasp what they're trying to teach them.
2nd down 1. Hodson with a checkoff. Motioning his players back. Hodson with a pitch out to Watkins. Watkins with a nice move to get the first down. Hobby had come up to stop him in the backfield, but did grab him by the arm to get him down right at the 45-yard line. Well, Tennessee 0-2 with a chance to go 0-3 probably here today. But look at that. There haven't been many bad starts since 1893.
In 81, they had a real bad start. They saw Herschel Walker in the opening of that 1981 season. They got beat 44-0. Then they came back and saw Marcus Allen. They got beat 43-7. But then they regrouped. They got things back together. Well, unfortunately, the schedule is not in their favor for regrouping. When you are sick, a good medicine to take is not an LSU pill.
First down 10 LSU at the 45-yard line of Tennessee. Ernest Fields, the redshirt freshman, number 23, goes in for DeLong. 9 yards on the carry from Darrell Williams, a redshirt freshman from Hempstead, Texas. With the big lead here, Fuller and Watkins getting a rest, and Williams getting a look by Mark Archer.
Slip Watkins going in motion. The handoff inside. They've got the backup offensive line in there. Chris Truax, nice block up the middle. Andy Martin fighting to maintain contact.
9 yards on the carry. 2nd down 1. Watkins goes back in. The official said yes, his knee did touch down shy of the first down. Mark Moore with the stop for Tennessee. Clock down to 10:36 remaining. Some other scores around. That person's dry, but maybe not breathing. Gotta get somebody over there to take a pulse. Notre Dame 20-3 over Michigan State in the 4th quarter at East Lansing. West Virginia laying it on Maryland 55-24. Don Nehlen's got himself a fine ball club this year. South Carolina now with a 10-0 lead. That TD reception, by the way, we were talking about Todd Ellis and his fine receivers. That's the longest touchdown pass reception in South Carolina history. We'll see Todd Ellison, the Gamecocks, next Saturday against Georgia here on TBS. Penn State having a tough time with Boston College. Baylor not having a tough time with Iowa.
Be interesting to see what Bill Lewis comes up with to stop that passing attack.
Big Ten SEC battle in Indiana, Kentucky, and Indiana 7-7. Kentucky with a very courageous performance in the loss last week to a very tough Auburn team. The first down attempt by LSU as the clock gets inside 10 minutes. Slip Watkins carrying Kerry Bailey with the stop for the Volunteers. And they're going to spot it inside the 35. That means first down LSU. Rutgers 10-point lead over Vanderbilt.
Speaking of Kentucky, I was watching film yesterday here in Knoxville, talking to the Kentucky coaches, Dick Bumkus and Mel Foles and Kevin Steele and Ken Donahue on defense, and a graduate assistant here is a fellow named Brian Williams, who we saw play defensive end, probably the only defensive end in the country that returned punts.
Number 2.
You bet. And, he's loving it here at Tennessee.
Number 2 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Brian Williams, as I recall. First down 10. Nice fake by Hodson. Gets rid of it for close to a first down to Kenny Davidson, a junior from Shreveport, backup tight end. The quarterback pressure came from 74 Mark Moore, but only after the receivers had come open for Hodson. And Hodson on the day now, 21 out of 31, 247 his yardage, 3 touchdowns, and LSU's rushed for 219 yards.
Another good choice by Tom Hodson. He was actually looking for Tony Moss across the middle of the field, not there, and threw it out to the split end. Watch him set up. Reads the weak safety. It's not there on the strong side. DeLong got a great drop back in that area, that crossing area, so he saw it, wasn't there, unloaded the ball before he went down.
Mark Moore, the man who was applying the pressure to Hodson, was a Proposition 48 student last year. Didn't qualify to play, came to school at Tennessee. Used a year of eligibility, so he's a sophomore. He has 3 years to play here from Charleston, West Virginia. DeLong, Keith DeLong, is back in the game for Tennessee. He was shaken up earlier. 27-9 LSU, 9-11 remaining in this ball game. UT defense had been allowing 438 yards a game. Today LSU has 465. Fumble on the play. And let's wait for the official. Although it's clearly in the possession of Mark Moore at the moment. But it could have been after the whistle.
I think it was Walker that got the hit, wasn't it? Number 45. Let's watch him. A true freshman playing in there along with Keith DeLong. Shazan Bradley, his backup, number 40. Boom, whack, and knocks it loose. That's the kind of hit that you rarely see from a true freshman. Can you imagine playing an SEC football game at middle linebacker as a true freshman? I mean, this isn't like you're a wide receiver. You can just kind of flit around on the outside. You got to know what's happening on every play. You got to be aware of all the changes. That's a lot to learn. You got to give Walker and Bradley a lot of credit.
Third down 2 LSU. Here's Williams driving hard inside the 20. First down Tigers. Jeremy Lincoln with the stop. Well, these two teams will both look ahead, and both of them have some tough schedules. LSU thinks they have the toughest schedule in the country. It's definitely debatable. The NCAA ranks them, and they're ranked just slightly behind Kentucky's schedule. But the Tennessee Volunteers don't have a cakewalk. Next week, Tennessee gets to go visit Auburn and face 3 defensive linemen, just about identically as good as these LSU defensive linemen. Then it'll be Washington State at Knoxville, but then Alabama comes calling, and the schedule for Tennessee is certainly demanding. Slip Watkins. Can he get around the corner? Yes, he can. Just as his coach Mike Archer told us he could. Out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Chased out by Brian Kimbrough.
Archer's hot about that. He wanted a flag on that. I think that Slip Watkins was clearly out of bounds when Kimbrough made contact. He slips past Preston Warren. DeLong and Days drive him out of bounds. He's out of bounds and plays over. And LSU got called for a personal foul early in the game that wasn't as aggressive as that. Yeah, as a coach, you got to defend your players. You got to let the referee know what you're thinking. And I'm not saying that ever influences a decision, but you want to let them know how you feel.
First and goal from the 7. 7:24 to go in this ball game. There's Watkins in motion. Misdirection handoff to Williams, who drives to the 2-yard line. Williams is an impressive runner, the redshirt freshman. He's 6'2", 215. He's listed as a tailback. He's playing the fullback position that time as he takes it down to the 1.5-yard line. There's Darrell. Hempstead, Texas. A lot of Texas players on this LSU team. LSU, by the way, nearing the 500-yard mark in total yardage today. Second down goal. Watkins doesn't get there. 55. Kimbrough has a hold of him down by the ankles.
I think it's kind of amazing that this team, which finished last year 5th in the nation, that had some veterans coming back and had Tom Hodson coming back, wasn't ranked higher in the preseason polls. I think Mike Archer has been able to use that to his benefit to still some hostility in these guys. You know, it's the old "we don't get any respect" routine, and right now they're earning it.
This is third down. Goal from just outside the 1. Watkins, can he get to the corner? Nice block. Was that Williams? Darrell Williams made a beautiful block to help spring him, although I think Watkins would have made the corner anyway for the LSU touchdown.
Let's take a look at it here. Watch the LSU offense operate. Bob was talking about number 32, Darrell Williams. Cedric Klein tries to leap over him, but just can't make it. Slips into the end zone. There's 6.
5:59 remaining in the ball game, and LSU 33-9, and Brown Dyke going for his 65th consecutive point after. He's never missed a conversion in his career at LSU. We'll be back to Neyland Stadium in Knoxville right after this timeout. Ranked number 1 of the country prior to the season, getting clobbered by Miami, and now trailing Clemson at Death Valley. From the 5, Anthony Morgan. 29-yard line. LSU, we're talking about toughest schedules in the country. Kentucky's listed as having the toughest one, but I'll tell you what, these are remaining games at Ohio State, at Florida, and then Auburn in Baton Rouge.
And that's after looking at A&M and Tennessee. Kentucky ranked first. I think that Kentucky's schedule, based on last year's record, but I think Kentucky's schedule got to be a lot harder than LSU's, because LSU's got a whole lot better players than Kentucky does this year, I think, anyway.
Andy Kelly, freshman quarterback for Tennessee, is in to clean up for Volunteers, number 8. Oh, what a hit. Eric Hill really put the pads to Reggie Cobb, who is very slow to get up. Eric Hill was like, he's one of the, as Tim told you, one of the toughest physical specimens in college football in the nation. And Cobb didn't see him coming because he watched the ball, and then wham, 54 hits 34.
Sets up the screen, tries to look him off, the ball floats out, and boom, Hill had read it, and then whammo. And I'm telling you what, Eric Hill is a real man. The coaches at Tennessee and LSU agree on that he's as good as there has been in the SEC.
We'll check on left the field. Looks like he's okay. We'll give you a report if Reggie Cobb was hurt more seriously than that. Had his bell rung on the tremendous hit by Eric Hill. Second down, 12, Tennessee. Andy Kelly, the backup quarterback, in there. Nice job on getting the ball off, but he didn't connect. Alvin Harper, intended receiver. Andy Kelly, 6'2", 195. The backup that Tennessee had been counting on this year, Sterling Hinton, has had a rough time with illness, injury, whatnot. And Gil Brandt of the Dallas Cowboys said Sterling Hinton, even though he's a youngster and has a long way to go even with his college career, shows a lot of the talent that a lot of pro quarterbacks have. Andy Kelly hadn't had a chance to show much thus far. He's from Dayton, Tennessee. Cobb is okay. Reggie Cobb had the wind knocked out of him. No kidding. Safety valve. Only a yard or two to Vando Davis, Tennessee fullback. A couple of the stars for LSU today, both of them with the touchdown. Slip Watkins, Eddie Fuller, the tandem in the offensive backfield. And Reggie Cobb. Hope he's okay. He is. Yeah. I'm fine, he says. Good. Reggie Cobb, one of the great running backs in America. He did not have a great day today, but don't write that off. 16 carries, 53 yards. Elmore in for the punt for Tennessee. End over end. Vincent Fuller at the 30. That's Eddie's brother, by the way. He goes down at the 39-yard line. So LSU gets another opportunity with the football here to add to their totals. LSU near 500 yards on the ground today. I believe it's about 495 on this drive. 491. Tennessee has 146.
You know, greatness for a football team or for an individual player depends on consistency. And Archer knows that. And even though the A&M game was a big game, this is a big game. He can't afford to let his team's emotion get out of hand. They got to take each one of these games one at a time, not get too excited about any one game.
Saul Graves, backup quarterback, is in there. He's the third teamer for LSU. Mickey Guidry is the ace reliever.
Offense.
That's a penalty against LSU. Guidry came in against Texas A&M when Tom Hodson was having some concentration problems, we'll call it. Guidry came in and went 4 for 4 and threw for a touchdown. But Saul Graves is a sophomore from Monroe, Louisiana, and he's getting an opportunity to play today.
Monroe, Louisiana. Your young friend Mike Smith is probably watching from Monroe, Louisiana.
Darrell Williams carrying. Clock down to 3:47. There's Graves. He's 6'4", 195, sophomore. What a job. You know, let's talk about recruiting for a minute. A lot of the Baton Rouge and some Louisiana papers, some, have questioned whether or not Mike Archer can recruit the kind of talent that he inherited. But that's very misleading as it regards Mike Archer.
I mean, the same staff is there that recruited the talent that's playing here now.
He did recruit these guys, or he was involved in it.
So we gotta get Gus Piazza down there to talk to all those media guys and get them squared away, or we'll put them in big trouble.
We got to get Mike to Gus's restaurant too. From the 39-yard line, Calvin Wyndham in at the tailback position, the fourth one to play for LSU today. He goes down, junior from Orlando. Mike Archer in the gold.
Ed Zonbrecker down next to him on your right on the screen. He's come down out of the press box now. The pressure's off. He's down on the field.
We were talking about Slip Watkins of LSU being the fastest runner in America in his class because the others are in Korea. A lot of SEC athletes are competing for the United States and other countries in Korea, and we wish all those SEC athletes, whether it's basketball, swimming, diving, track, whatever, luck in the Olympics that are underway in Seoul. And having been at the Goodwill Games for TBS and knowing what it is to cover in a foreign country, a major international sporting event, we wish NBC success in their coverage also. Here are the SEC Olympians. These youngsters are presently in school. There are 26 SEC athletes who are competing all total, representing 13 different countries. So some obviously from foreign nations coming to the Southeastern Conference schools for education and going back to compete for their country. Rene Bourgeois, the punter for LSU. There's a LSU name for you, Bourgeois. Thomas Woods fakes the catch, lets it go into the end zone. Bourgeois is a junior from Baton Rouge, replacing Matt DeFrank. Very good LSU punter last year, but I think that job is in good hands with Bourgeois and Brian Griffin. We have 1:37 to go in this ball game. Tennessee out in front, 34-9. Well, LSU is about to win their first ever football game at Neyland Stadium. These two teams started playing in 1925. LSU had never won a game until today. This, by the way, will be LSU's 14th consecutive road win. That pass from Andy Kelly is complete to 89 Von Reeves, Tennessee backup tight end, with 1:26 to go in the ball game. So congratulations to Mike Archer and LSU. This is a team to be reckoned with. They're ranked 8th in the country right now. And when you start looking at Georgia, Auburn, and LSU, it's going to be a dogfight for the SEC title. And that's not to mention a dark horse who's going to come out of somewhere, like Florida as an example, or Alabama. But Alabama has the day off, by the way, in case you haven't heard. Out of bounds, Andy Kelly. Alabama canceled their game with Texas A&M.
It's always an unusual race. There's always the unexpected. That's the only thing that you can count on. But this LSU football team, just when you look at it position by position, they've got, if they don't get if they don't get nicked too badly by injuries, they're just going to be awful hard to deal with. You know, and Mike's had some great teachers in terms of emotional stability. Howard Schnellenberger and Bill Arnsbarger, about as even a keel type people as you can be around, and those are the guys that he coached for.
Keith Denson carrying the sophomore for Tennessee. This is the worst start, by the way, for Tennessee since 1962, when Tennessee went 0-4, losing to Auburn, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, and Alabama before beating UT Chattanooga. So the Volunteers are having a much more difficult start than anybody anticipated. There were some publications and experts picking Tennessee as not only a contender, but the team that would win the SEC. I personally had questions all along based on the fact they had so many defensive questions and players to replace, and the injuries preseason. You had to wonder if Tennessee could compete in this league. This isn't exactly, matter of fact, it is the toughest league in the United States. We're going to see Georgia go out of the league next today. By the way, Todd Ellis threw the longest touchdown pass in South Carolina history today, a 97-yarder. Andy Kelly out to Anthony Morgan. Clock down to 41 seconds remaining. Thank all the folks here at Tennessee once again for their fine hospitality. Love coming into Knoxville.
This is the first time we've seen Tennessee lose, Bob.
That's right.
You know, from 1983, this is the first time we've seen Tennessee on the short end of the score. Take that back.
34-9, LSU leading Tennessee with 41 seconds. There was one loss.
It's nice to know our producer is still listening. That's good. Thanks. Skip Ellison reminded me that we saw him lose to Mississippi State in '86.
Timeout, Tennessee. Skip Ellison, our producer, and Tom Smith, the director today.
And we've got a multinational SEC group here, right? Yeah. Tom Smith, our director from Florida. Skip Ellison from Georgia Tech. Actually from Georgia.
Just pick him up in the truck.
Yeah, right.
Ellison is on the floor.
I'm fired. Oh, boy. It's good that they're not biased, though. That's what's important.
Let's not correct it. Let's just leave it at that and see how Skip deals with it.
Oh, no. We already corrected it. Georgia Bulldog.
32 seconds left in this ball game. Is chuckling, but Johnny Majors isn't. And a tough question for you, not about Mike Archer, Tim Foley, but about Johnny Majors. What does he do now? Staring this, has 0-3, and he's got coming up Auburn next week, Alabama in a couple of weeks.
I'd really rather talk about what Mike Archer is going to do. It's a lot more pleasant subject, and John just got to keep his team together. As Mike Archer counts down the clock here, gets his team ready to compete for a national championship, John Majors got to just bring the forces together. The worst thing that can happen now is you begin pointing fingers. You got to come together as a unit, and it's just the guys in the orange jerseys and the coaches, because
32 seconds remaining in this game. 34-9 LSU. Tennessee at the 34-yard line of the Tigers. Andy Kelly, the backup, running the offense. And driving to the 27-yard line. Tennessee just running that clock down, running it up the middle. Vando Davis carrying. So Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. We were over there several years ago for a football telecast. We also dealt with Joe Morrison, who's South Carolina's coach, when he was at New Mexico a few years ago. So it'll be a pleasure to see the folks in South Carolina and the Georgia Bulldogs again on TBS Sports, wherever you may be watching next week. Hope you'll join us for that. It's 12:30 Eastern Time. We're down to 20 seconds.
I'm sorry. You know, I saw the Georgia-Tennessee game, and they had said that Georgia had changed their defense and gone to 7-man front, all that kind of stuff. And I look, and, you know, they have Guthrie playing strong safety. You know, all they did was
call it what you want.
Yeah, right. This guy, we used to call him a linebacker. Now we're going to call him a strong safety.
There's a fumble at the line of scrimmage with 15 seconds left in the ball game. Tennessee will have an opportunity possibly to get another playoff, but 5 seconds remaining in the game. And the ball did not get out of bounds in time to mercifully stop the clock so it expires, and Tennessee gets beaten badly at home. LSU, the first ever win in the history of the meetings between these two schools, 34-9. And Mike Archer and Johnny Majors will